Here's a song Larry knows.
Yeah.
Same song we use for all the different Let Us Reason Together.
Alert song.
And I didn't come up with the name Let Us Reason Together because I like the song. I just want everybody to be sure they understand the show is not named for the song. We found the song after that. Anyway, good day, everybody. I'm Mark David Smith, and I have my companion from another show, Lawrence Segari. And if you're his friend, you may call him Larry Segari. But otherwise, if you're not familiar with him, if you don't really know him, Lawrence is the better way to go. Anyway, and also we have Jeffrey, one of the newest members of the Lamb community. Hey there, Jeffrey. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Boker Tov. Good morning, everyone.
Boker Tov.
Yeah.
I love that intro, Mark. It's a real toe tapper. So
yeah, well, really, in Lamb history, because I make up most of the intros, or if somebody doesn't come up with their own intro song, then I come up with it. And as much as I possibly can, I try to make it so that when you're listening to it, you become a bobblehead.
Yeah.
It's not so much tapping your toes as, so when intros are playing, you can look down at the bottom to the three little windows that we get to see, and everybody's head's just sitting there. bobblehead. But little history of Lamb intros there for you. But, anyway, we like to have fun, don't we, Larry?
We do.
We do.
Whether we like it or not.
By the way, that's not whiskey, that's tea.
It looked exactly like what they do on television when they're
I know it.
Whiskey.
I know it. Donna and I would watch TV shows or movies or something, and anytime somebody sit down and pour them what we call brown liquid. They're drinking brown liquid, and it's amazing how many people pour little glasses of brown liquid on TV shows and movies and stuff, and it's like you see, they banned alcohol advertising from the regular TV, propaganda TV, the three major networks a long time ago, years and years ago. The only reason you see it would be a network from internet type broadcasting or something like that. But I think cigarettes and alcohol's been off of branding on TV for a long decades, but
prescriptions have taken their place.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep laughing at the names. They keep coming up with a new name like every day. There's like another new drug name. It's like, who's the guy creating these names?
Right.
Then at the end of each commercial is with all the different side effects.
Yeah.
I did that one time. What was it? We were advertising something. John Craig, who is normally the host of the show, we were advertising something for him on one of our other shows, and I did the advertisement, so I said like a quick one or two a regular one or two lines, and then I purposely wrote a whole paragraph that went along just like the commercials you hear, kind of a disclaimer paragraph, and then I read it really, 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 really fast. Anyway, this show is Let Us Reason Together, and it's based on Isaiah 1:18, which says, "Come now and let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are as scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool. And you would think of the 4,500 times I've read that, I could just read it out of my head. But because it's written out right there on this other screen, my brain won't let me try to memorize it because it's right there. All right. Well, this is pretty new. So all you people out there that came and was hoping to see John and Tammy and Eddie and everything, they're taking a hiatus for a while, and I'm taking over. You can call me the Trump of Lamb if you want to.
Mr. Lamb.
Yeah, there are kings on the Lamb Network. Let's put it there. Oh, come on. Okay. But usually John, for the first half hour, has put together a bunch of just clips of things. Part of the show is called Shower Thoughts, and he puts together these little pictures and stuff that end up being funny. And but my deal is more of words. I think it's fascinating how our English language, which is the universal language of the globe, has been so decimated. It's like one word is used 45 times or 45 different meanings, or you heard this word in another language, or somebody from another country that speaks a whole different language learns English, but the words sound the same and they get all mixed up, and people change their meanings over time. You hear them say this, but that's not the way it's normally used in your culture. A lot of different cultures use the same word to mean something different. And it's we've all experienced it, every one of us. And so I think words are fascinating. I think expressions and phrases and that type of thing. And then, of course, then you get over into the Bible. And you don't even want me to start telling you my ideas and opinions on the Bible, because you guys won't even get a chance to talk, because I just have a deep rooted opinion on all that. So we'll get into a little bit of those words and stuff too. But first of all, I'd like to start off with, for instance, secular words we use every day or every other day, or commonly used words. My first secular word is the word love.
Who?
Love. 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 How many of us have just inadvertently were walking out the door and our wife is over here and we just say, love you, and walk out the door. Or today it's become so generic that you could just meet somebody and you walk away from them and say, love you. Or you meet how many people online, if you're like me, that get to meet people constantly. I've never met them face to face. And yet when we do a show or we're talking online or something, and I've never met Daryl Weinberg. I love that brother with a passion. I just love him. But
I was just chatting with him all weekend long. He was in Columbus, Ohio. I hooked him up with one of my students who's in Columbus, and they got together at this convention in Columbus and spent the weekend at this conference. So, he's a good guy. I like him a lot.
Yeah. But I've never met him. But I still love the brother. I mean, it's a different thing. But I'm saying we have made this love word, which to me, in God's eyes, I think, I know that this is actually a precious, treasured word that we, and I try to hold deep within my heart, in my soul, is, and not take it and use it rotely, use it just commonly. And so that's kind of my first word that I'm peeved about that people use, and I think every one of us has been through that.
Well, I think we're at a disadvantage because I think we all know that in Greek there are several words that can be translated as love, whereas in the English language we only have one.
True.
And it's a coverall. I mean, I love this television show.
Yeah.
I love my wife. It's like, same kind of love. Well, I'll get in trouble if I say the truth, So
True.
we are at a disadvantage of it, and more and more people just it becomes like a second. They don't even think about it. I've had students when I taught that they leave the classroom, love it, love you, Mrs. Gary.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No,
you can't say that.
No. So it's strange that we only have one word for so many different ideas and feelings.
Yeah, we're actually starting. My wife and I are starting this small group study called The Art of Marriage, and there's 6 words for love that we're using. Some of them are Greek, some of them are Hebrew. I mean, you have Hesed, you have Dabak, you have Yada, you have Agape. You have all these different words for love. It's great that you can express it in different ways, but like Larry said, we just have one here in the English language that we really use that covers all those.
And what's really weird is that which love they're talking about when they say it to you.
It's culture.
Yeah.
It's our culture. Every different culture has their language and the way they use things like that. But so Jeffrey, are you saying it would be better if we all spoke Greek? That way we could define each of those love words.
Well, I don't know why when they translated the Hebrew and the Greek and the English, if the words had more pronounced meanings, why didn't they make another word that kind of defined that meaning of the intent? So instead of just using the same word for all of them.
Yeah. I have no idea what the original idea or what they were thinking, what their perspective was.
They were on the clock.
I think it's over time it's morphed into this.
Yeah.
Larry?
I said they were on the clock. That's why they had to use
it. That's what it was. All right. Yeah. Good. We could do a whole hour show on that, I think. Larry, you have a word that
I have a couple, because this was a hard assignment. I mean, I haven't had homework in ages.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. The more you're on your show, the show, what you need to do is get you a little book. I've got a little book here that, as I'm sitting around doing things, a word or expression comes to mind, or I hear it on a movie or TV show or something. I write it down in my little book, and then. So.
Now I got another assignment.
That's it. You got another assignment, Mr. Teacher.
Well, one of the phrases that I've seen a lot on social media is "should of," and that bugs the snot out of me, because it should be "should have," and all these people are making these educated answers and going on, and they use the phrase "should have." And it's like, I just got to comment on this one.
I love it.
A lot of them are deriding other people for their misspelling of words and stuff like that. And you should know how to spell this word if you're going to come on social media. And they said, you should have done it right. You know, it's like,
I
should have.
I like
So,
it.
so that's one of my pet peeves. Could I do another one?
Yeah, let me inject one that's kind of similar to it that we
Okay.
were talking about Friday night, is that the word "in it."
Oh, yeah.
It's like "isn't it," but it's been shortened, and it's literally a word in Britain. If you ever put the captions on when you're watching a British show, you will inevitably see INNIT in it. In it? I'm going over here. This is it. In it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Go ahead.
there's a lot of colloquialisms around here where I live, so we won't get into that.
With it. I'm with it. All right. Okay. You have a second word?
The word misogynist.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I looked up the definition because it's been thrown around so much. Students threw it at me a couple times, and it's like, do you know what misogynist means? You hate women, period. It's like, no. If you have anything to do with women, you're not a misogynist. You know, and that just bugs the snot out of me how it's used, especially, you know, on news programs and stuff like that. And
Yeah. Well, they call Trump that all the time.
Right.
I just looked it up here. I mean, it's just exactly what we think it is. It's from the Greek words misein, to hate, and gyne, which is woman, combined with the English suffix "ix" or "ist." Essentially, it refers to someone who hates or dislikes women. The concept of misogyny, the hatred or dislike of a woman, has roots in ancient societal structures where women were often marginalized. You mean like Iran?
Yeah.
Oh, we lost Larry.
Yep. He's gone.
Yeah, so it means what we think it means, but yeah.
No relation to like massage therapy or anything. Right?
Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. Interesting that word is part of it. So, all right, Larry loses every once in a while. So, your word there, Jeffrey.
Well, I had a word, and it's actually, people often use the word literally for emphasis when they actually mean figuratively. For example, you might say, I literally died laughing. It's usually not a medical emergency.
Really?
It's just a hyperbole. It really, but when you say I figuratively died laughing, it doesn't make any sense. So we've gotten into this culture where we say words that even though they're not logical, they sound better when they flow off the tongue.
Right. Our brain is looking for words, and the first one that comes to mind that kind of seems like that word, especially if you're, not necessarily learned. Once again, it's a culture thing that if you live in communities or sections, of a town or something where you have a majority of the people that are, of a lower income, type of thing, or even different communities that are a higher income. They have different words to describe the things that they're doing, and either way, and it becomes something that I can just use real quick. And I think that's exactly what you're talking. A lot of the words we talk about here, but Larry, the word Jeffrey came up with was literally. We say literally all the time, and
Mhm.
that is a word that I've heard before too, that other people have brought up that they don't like the way it's used.
Mhm.
I think I overuse it. I know I catch myself
Literally.
overusing the word and using it just as a quick reference to
Yeah.
something, because it's it's one that I use for a lot of other things.
Me too. Literally.
Literally use
I
it.
literally use that, right?
Yep. I like it. All right. Real good. Okay, my secular phrase or expression, by the way, I put those as two different things in there. I'm going to lessen that to one, either a secular phrase or expression. Um, one of the crazy things I've never understood is bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. I mean, what in the world could that possibly mean? And so I looked it up. The idiom, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, originates from the practice of falconry in medieval times, where a trained falcon, the bird in the hand, was more valuable than potential prey birds, which would be two in a bush. In other words, so you have a trained bird, but the birds in the bush are not trained. The proverb emphasizes the value of holding on to something certain rather than risking it for something uncertain. So, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah, I immediately think of doves. Doves always fly together. Well, you see one dove, you're going to see another one close by somewhere. And I'm thinking of like when Yeshua, the turtle dove was always like the lowest worth of a sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I thought the same thing when I was thinking of a bird in the hand, and it took me right to the what the offerings, the tithes that you had to bring to the temple, and a lot of them were
Mhm.
doves, and they had different worth.
Mhm.
You excuse me. One thing I think is interesting is it's not the trained falcon was the one in the hand, but it just says two birds in the bush. So it could be any, it could have been a couple of sparrows, but I think, I don't know. My thought would be it'd be more important for it to be predators, like a falcon, if you're talking worth, equal worth. You don't put two sparrows are never going to be
Right.
worth a falcon, no matter what to do.
That's
Interesting how we just turn things around.
Yeah, that's a real detailed explanation. Whenever I heard that or used it, I just thought of it's better to have what you got rather than what you're hoping for.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, exactly. That's a normal, common way to think of it.
yeah, yeah.
I would say, yeah.
I never knew it had to do with falconing.
Well, it's interesting that like this, depending on the person, the culture,
Yeah,
where you're at, you could use the same expression for two completely different things.
yeah.
And how it's passed from generation to generation, how your mother used it, how
Mhm.
your father used it, that type of thing. We all grow up with that. So.
Mhm.
There we go. Okay, Larry, got an expression or a phrase or something?
I can't think of any.
You can't. Yeah,
No,
yeah. That's why I have to
I,
write
I've
it.
I've often thought when I heard something, I've often thought, wow, if a foreigner were here learning English language, they wouldn't understand what the heck I just said.
Uh-huh.
But I can't think of one right now. It's and
Mhm.
all last night I'm thinking, ask Deborah, she was, what are you doing? I was trying
Okay,
to.
well, you got a week till next week's show.
Okay.
So
Okay.
another one I came up with is like lesser of two evils.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like, why are you exercising any evils at all? You know,
Yeah. That's right.
You said
it's like, if that's all I've got to work with are a couple of evils, then I can see the lesser of it. But come on, be optimistic. If somebody said that, I'd say, come on, be optimistic, man. You know, it doesn't have to be evils that you're searching.
Yeah. But my phrase kind of ties into that a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit. So I came up with the phrase, I could care less.
Oh, yes.
Now this one's a classic mix-up, and Larry, maybe because you're a teacher, you'll understand. Because the correct phrase should be, I couldn't care less,
right.
Yeah,
meaning you care so little
right.
that it's not possible to care less.
Mhm.
Saying, so when you say I could care less, that implies you still have some caring left
That's
to
right.
give, which is usually the opposite of what people mean.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly
And then
right.
then when you explain it to the person, it's like, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love it. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. We always used to say, if we were depressed, that we're down in the basement digging holes. In other words, you can't get any lower than being down in the basement digging holes. And it's kind of the same thing as I couldn't care less, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny you
Couldn't get
mention
any
that.
lower.
My grandfather used to tell me when I was a kid, he goes, when I got on his nerves, like if I was bothering him, he'd go get lost.
Grandfathers are great. I love being a grandfather.
Go get lost.
I love
Well,
it.
Grandpa, how will I know when I'm lost?
Yeah, the
Well,
younger they are.
I just thought of one that I've been watching, this kind of like a survival show, off-grid show, and it's from Newfoundland. And this guy keeps on saying, Bob's your uncle. Like, well, Bob's your uncle. How'd it go today? Bob's your uncle. And I
have no idea what that means.
Well, I researched it, and it's an English term that has to do with the guy Bob being a person that's in power, and you know everything's going to be all right for you because your uncle will take care of it if you have any troubles. And it's like, wow, Bob's your uncle.
It's not Mark or Larry, it's Bob.
Yeah. Who's this Bob guy?
Yeah. Well, I've been noticing through the past few years that Bob has become a very generic word for a very generic person. Because it seems like even when writers use the word or name a character Bob, it's because they're just about as average as you could possibly get. That's the what comes across. Like, for instance, of course, you guys have got to tell me you've seen the movie What About Bob?
Yeah,
I was just thinking that with Bill Murray.
I know.
What about Bob?
Yeah.
My wife won't watch that for any reason whatsoever at all. As a matter of fact, she uses the expression "What about Bob?" to express her complete dislike of something. Might as well watch What About Bob. I'd rather do that than do that.
Mark, I gave a teaching one time in front of a couple hundred people, and I referenced that movie.
Yeah.
Part of the teaching.
Isn't it amazing how many people have actually seen that?
Yeah.
It's
a cult movie now.
It's quite something different. And just because we're being friends here and we can talk about stuff. So, have you ever seen the movie Zombieland?
No, I haven't watched
Let
it.
me say, first of all, I hate zombies and zombie movies and
Yeah.
stuff. But because Woody Harrelson's in it and because I did want to kind of catch, my daughter loves it, so she wanted me to watch it, so I watched it. Well, in the movie, of course, zombies have taken over the earth, and there's a few non-affected people going through the lands, and these four people come upon Bill Murray's house. Well, they go in there because everybody's basically dead, so they you start yelling and everything, and nobody answers, so they feel like maybe Bill Murray's probably dead somewhere or something, been zombified or whatever. And so they go on, they actually start living in his house, start doing stuff. Well, out of nowhere comes Bill Murray dressed like a zombie. Not an actual zombie, but he kind of messes himself up and comes out so he can scare the people out of his house. Well, they figure out right away he's not really a zombie. Or there's two of the four that are there, and then they go into his movie theater in his house, and they're sitting there, and the other two come in, and they see Bill Murray sitting there dressed like a zombie, and he pulls out his shotgun and shoots Bill Murray.
Oh,
Right out of nowhere.
Oh my
Thinking
goodness.
he's a zombie, but he's not really.
another movie to put on my list of things that Mark says
Another-
to watch.
And it's Bill Murray's so relaxed way of being.
Yeah.
Love it. Everybody loves Bill Murray, except
Yeah.
my wife. So moving on. Here. That was a good one. You did come up with a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move over into the religious section of the show. Biblical words or biblical expressions or anything like that. My biblical word is the word miracle. Is misused constantly. Is just the normal thing that you think is going bad, and it actually takes a turn and goes for the good. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Did you see that over there? That's a miracle. And it's common. It's making God's most massive thing that we adore common. It's just making God common, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that just don't have a respect for God or what he does or who he is that will use God words. For instance, the word blessed is rarely ever used by anybody that doesn't worship God. The secular community rarely ever uses the word blessed. It's usually religious people that use it. But it's like miracle has become this generic word that anybody can use and put out there. So, and I don't like it. So. Anybody else got a biblical word that they like, dislike, used wrongly, whatever?
Heaven.
Heaven. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah.
To me, it's the abode of the Lord, and it's not necessarily for us to consider it a place, but rather a seat of authority to me. And when people say for heaven's sake and stuff like that, it's like, do you know what you're saying?
Yeah.
And I haven't always thought that way. I think it's now that I'm walking the Messianic walk, it's just things mean more to me in terms of the biblical terms.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's
You
a
know,
good one.
and let's see.
Are we frozen?
No, we're not.
Mm.
I was looking something up and didn't find what I thought I found. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Well, I came up with the word apocalypse.
Oh,
So
yeah.
many people use apocalypse to mean total destruction or the end of the world, but its original Greek apocalypsis means unveiling or revelation.
Yeah.
It's about revealing divine truth, hence the title of the last book of the Bible, Revelation, and not the end times.
Mhm.
So that I find that word gets misused quite a
All
bit.
the time. Yes.
I did not know that. So Revelation could have actually been Apocalypse.
Yeah, the book of
Yeah,
Apocalypse.
The book of Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, I did not know that. How about that? That's good.
And here you
That's a
thought
good-
Apocalypse Now was a good movie.
Yeah.
Total destruction. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
I
totally
just watched it.
misused word. Yeah.
Yeah. And when they use it as an adjective, you know, an apocalyptic, I can't even say it now. Apocalyptic event.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, God's revealing himself.
Yeah, you don't have a clue. Read your Bible and find out what apocalyptic means.
That's good.
That's good. All right, that's good. I like it. Okay, biblical phrase, expression. One, I've got a couple of them here. Godspeed. I never understood Godspeed. Of course, I think the first time I heard it was back when I was doing drugs, and I thought it was a drug that somebody came up with. That hey, what's the Godspeed?
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, I remember that very vividly. First time I ever heard that, and it was like completely used wrong.
Well, that's not biblical. That's English.
It is. It is. And I looked it up. The term Godspeed originates from the Middle English phrase God and then another word SPEDE, which translates to may God cause you to succeed. It combines God with speed, which is in that era meant to prosper or succeed. Essentially, it is a well-wishing phrase, a verbal blessing for someone's journey or endeavors. Yeah. So it once again goes back to what I was saying. In other cultures, in other times, a certain word was used, and now today it takes on different meanings. So when you use it in a way that was used in the Middle Earth, in the Middle Ages, you know, you can't do that. You can't take that word and expect people to understand what you're saying today.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And we just haphazardly do that. So.
Well, that's like when somebody sneezes and you say, bless you.
God bless you.
Yeah, God bless you. It's like, why? Well, I researched that one, and people during the early Middle Ages thought when you sneezed, there was a demon coming out of you. And so they're wanting you to seal, they're wanting to seal you up so that demon can't get back into you. It's like, man, when I get my allergies, I got a lot of demons coming out.
Gosh. Well, I come against that right now.
Amen.
God bless you. Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Or they'll say gesundheit.
Yeah. yeah. It's like, okay.
Really?
Speaking in tongues.
That's one of the things that you say when you're reading the book of Esther. is when you say King Hasharash or something, whatever it is, then the response is God bless you.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you're sneezing when you do it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Where are we at? Anybody got any more there?
Well, I took it, the challenge, as being something right out of Scripture. And I get tired of hearing Mark 7:18 and 19 being misused. It says, nothing that enters a man from the outside can defile him, because it does not enter his heart, but it goes into the stomach and then goes into the drain, purging all foods. And then in a lot of Bibles, there's this parenthetical thing saying that thus Jesus declared all things good to eat. It's like, no, that's not what it said. So,
yeah.
And that really tweaks me when people use that. And I looked that phrase up on Bible Hub, and they connected that phrase with Peter's dream. And it's like, no. You guys are supposed to be telling people about the Bible, and you connect that with, it's like, oh man. So that's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world.
Yeah, we were talking about that actually at the service this Shabbat. It just basically, had everything to do with ceremonial cleansing, hand washing. So
yeah.
I'm with you.
It's like, and to have the boldness to put a parenthetical statement in there, that Matthew or Mark never even put in there, but people put it in, and they think that's the word of God. Thus, Jesus declared all things eatable. It's like, no,
not at all.
Make it say what you wanted to say. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Make it say what you wanted to say.
And put parentheses around it so that there's plausible deniability when you stand before the throne.
You're sitting in an audience in a church, and the pastor says that, and you stand up and say, yeah, go ahead. Make it say what you want it to say. Okay. I just want to do that so much. It's like, rise up and say, wait. Jeffrey, you got anything? What you got?
I had we're on biblical phrase. One that I find that gets misused a lot. Is money is the root of all evil. And it's a misnomer of 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. It's a classic misquote, right? The actual verse is, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. The distinction matters because money isn't evil. It's the excessive desire for it that leads people astray.
Yeah.
Greed is where the evil comes from.
And how many times my dad used that for when I asked for some money? It's like,
wow,
money is the root of evil.
Yeah. Who do you ask for money?
My dad. When I was a kid.
Oh, when you were a kid. Okay, I was going to say, you're asking Deborah for money? I don't know.
No, Dad, my dad.
This is not a subject that we're on here. So. It's good. Love it.
Well, I'll tie that into what Yeshua said, that it's easier for the camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. So it always comes down that we should just be poor and destitute all the time, when that's really not what they're saying at all. Abraham was a very wealthy man, and even Peter. I mean, Peter and they were fishermen. Having a fishing business in the Galilee at that time, that was a very lucrative business.
Yeah, very good.
It's what you use it for, and what you do with your heart, where your heart is. And if you're using money that God has given you, the talents that you are increasing for the kingdom, then there's nothing evil about it.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. And you're following God's plan for you, not anybody else. See, and that's a lot of times people judge, like, for instance, Jeffrey, you're part of a ministry that does a lot of different things. And I am a part of the Lamb ministry. We do a lot of things, but people can come in there and judge you for, well, what are you doing with your money? How are you using it this way or this way? Or I saw you use your money in a way that I don't think is right. Well, you have no idea. It's between me and God, and you can go somewhere else. I mean, I just have that attitude: is if you are arguing against what my God and I have, then you're the one with the problem.
Yeah.
So, here's another one for you. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Or is it remember the Sabbath by keeping it holy?
Which one is it?
I looked that one up. Yeah, go ahead.
Torah or not Torah?
Torah or not Torah. That's exactly right. Well, on Bible Hub, you look up that one verse, and you got by keeping it holy, by keeping, to keep, by keeping, to keep, to keep, to keep, by keeping it holy. It just goes back and forth. So what's the difference? I mean, does it make a difference to say it one way or the other? To me, it does. It has two completely different meanings, and so to translate it one or the other, I just not real sure. So I went and looked up the breakdown of the words. Bible Hub's great, by the way. To anybody that doesn't use Bible Hub, it's like the quickest, easiest way for me to find what I'm looking for. But anyway, the word remember, that means to mark, to remember, to mention, to be male. To be male, wow. The word remember means to be male. Interesting. Well, the Sabbath, and you look up, there's so many different ways. Ha Sabbath, and here's another great one. It has the word intermission, the Sabbath. The definition for the Sabbath in this verse is intermission.
It's taking a sabbatical.
I guess it's like, so you're watching a movie and it's time for Sabbath. Go out. It's Sabbath. Go out and buy your popcorn and pop and everything. Like, that's what comes to my mind when I think of
intermission.
Yeah, right.
Breaking a movie in half or something. But, of course, day is a day, but when it gets down to by keeping it holy, which is laquad de so or sao, it's third person masculine singer. There's masculine again. This whole thing seems to be very masculine, but it means to set apart or consecrate.
Right.
So, to me, the difference between to keep it holy or by keeping it holy means that you do the Sabbath and that's keeping it holy. Or by keeping holy, remember the Sabbath and it's going to be holy because of the way I keep it. See, it doesn't work.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got two totally different meanings there,
right?
And yet translated either way. Anybody got any ideas on that?
Well, I think you have to continue. You can't just say that that's the commandment.
Oh, really?
You have to continue the phrase because the Lord tells you how to keep it set apart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, as the Lord your God has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath day to the Lord your God, on which you must not do any work, neither you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, blah, 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 donkey, livestock, foreigner, gates, manservant. Yeah. So it's saying to continue on is basically saying that by keeping it, by doing these things, separating yourself out, that causes the Sabbath to be holy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, that's how you say it.
I don't see your face as being confident there, Mr. Gary. Your face is not convinced.
How about this one?
I'm not convinced either. I think the Sabbath is holy because it's God's day.
Yeah.
I think it's just holy, period. It has nothing to do with what I do with it. But if I want it holy, which means separated, consecrated, I'm going to do these things.
Yeah.
So I don't like the wording of that whatsoever. That's my deal. Anyway, that's my deal.
We got to find the rock that it was written on, and
there we go. Yeah. Did God use to or by? So
he just said, "Keep it holy."
That's right.
Just keep it stinking holy.
You know what I mean? Don't argue with me.
So is it just keep it stinking holy, or just keep it? Just never mind. Yeah. Okay, so moving on here.
That's a good one.
Good one.
Yeah.
So how about a favorite? Did anybody have anything else on those expressions or anything? Jeffrey?
Well, I had an expression, but if you
go ahead, let's do it.
So the biblical expression I had was God helps those who help themselves. And you know that phrase is not even in the Bible.
I was going to say, I don't think that's.
You know where that came from?
It's in Second Calamities.
That phrase came from Benjamin Franklin.
Really?
Yeah. He used it to emphasize God helping those who are helpless or in need of grace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it became a popular phrase.
And of course,
very good.
God helps those who help themselves.
I love it.
And what's another phrase? Cleanliness is next to godliness. That's another one from Second Calamities.
It's next to it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not actually a part of it. It's just next to it.
Close.
Here's another one. No man goes into battle without first counting the cost. That sounds biblical, doesn't it?
Sure does.
I mean, it sounds like something Yeshua would say.
Or from Proverbs or something.
It does. It's not in there.
No.
At all. And I've heard that several times too. From me. I've said it before. So, okay, very good one, Jeffrey. Very good. Don't you love this? I love talking about these things. So and then we're getting it off our chest. So now we feel better, see?
Yeah.
That brings to mind, I used to, when I taught American history, I used to show Johnny Tremaine movies.
Who?
Johnny Tremaine. Walt Disney's Johnny Tremaine. You never heard of Johnny Tremaine?
I've heard of him, but I can't picture who he is.
Oh, you should have had me for your history teacher then. They're Walt Disney movies about this one character that it's kind of like historical fiction. And this kid is in the time of the Revolution and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways, he was privy to the meeting with Sam Adams and John Adams, and they're talking about getting the revolution started. And there was a phrase, something like something patriotic, and Sam Adams ends up saying, and if that's not in scripture, it ought to be. And that always stuck with me. It's like, what?
Never heard that one. I've never heard that one.
Good old Sam Adams. He later started making beer, so that's why.
Yeah.
I think he had
Sam Adams version of the Bible, right?
If that's not in scripture, it ought to be.
Wow. Wow. Good one. I like it. All right. Moving on here. Favorite Bible character and why? My first question is, who is this guy Verily that you hear keeps talking to?
Barely.
You
It's
know,
always calling to him.
verily I say unto you. You know, I don't know who that guy is, but Peter by far is one of my favorite characters in the Bible. He's just your average Joe that gets himself into trouble by being passionate about things, and I relate to Peter. I've always related to Peter. Just passionate and get yourself in trouble. That's what I think of Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And
Yeah,
it's like,
for a Torah school dropout.
and it's like he says stuff, and then he looks to Yeshua for some kind of backing up, you know?
Yeah. Acclamation there,
Yeah. What do you think about that one?
Yeah.
And I can see Yeshua going,
I don't know if the Chosen movie is accurate in their portrayal of Peter, but man, he's always the guy getting in trouble. He's always headstrong, and
is he? Yeah.
He's getting humbler and humbler as time goes on.
Yeah, I just love it. I just love
he's like an overcompensator.
Yeah.
That's what Peter reminds me of.
He's your everyday guy.
Yeah.
He really is. I think more people probably, and that could very well be why we hear more. The writers wrote more about him because he was involved in as much as he could. Whereas you have other of the Talmudim like Bartholomew.
You never hear anything from him.
Unless it's mentioned, you just don't even hear from them. So there's just characters that stand out because of who they are, their personality.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Anybody else got a favorite Bible character and why?
Go ahead, Larry. Do you have one?
I've got Eliyahu.
Oh,
he, yeah, him. El Tishbi. I loved how he handled the situation with the priest of Baal. I mean, he was so sarcastic with them, and he was just like egging them on, and I loved it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of, in a different way, David when he was taunting Goliath, you know. But Eliyahu just laid it on those priests, you know, shout a little bit louder. Maybe your God is sleeping somewhere, you know, and all that. And then he goes and puts water. They're in the middle of a drought. It's been like 3 years, and he's putting precious water all over the place, all over his sacrifice. It's in the ditch around the sacrifice and everything. And to me, that is what I would like to be able to do to people who are, you know, going against my God. And at the same time, after that's all over, he finds Jezebel's after him, and he just takes off.
Yeah.
It's like
he gets depressed.
Yeah, and but the Lord takes care of him, and Eliyahu's my man.
That's a good one. I mean, here's a guy who walks in the power of the Lord. He just saw this. We saw it was a miracle, right? God bringing fire and licking everything up, and then Jezebel says, "I'm going to kill you," and he runs off like a scared little dog.
I can relate to that. It's like,
Yeah.
whoop, 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 whoop.
We would probably do the same thing, right? And someone threatens
Well,
us, or
it makes me wonder, would we do the same thing? We all read it and say, yeah, like Larry was doing, yeah, I would do that.
yeah.
But once you get in that situation, would you really? You
But how
sure
many
there's
times-
not somebody else here that's
Yeah.
ready to stand up and do this,
Not so much the standing up, but when you're fearful because of what someone says about you or gossips about you or has an accusation against you. How many times have we cowered down just from one person who speaks out against us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
that's a
You
good
want to anyway. Very good.
Eliyahu's my man.
Well, this
And
was a hard one, Mark and Larry.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
so many characters in the Bible, but
Sure.
I've been we've been studying Samuel lately, First and Second Samuel. So as I'm going through these stories of David, how he rose to be the king, I put as my favorite character today, right now, is Jonathan. I didn't realize that this guy was unbelievable. King Saul's son, Jonathan.
Mhm.
So his covenantal love for David is deeply personal and sacrificial. As the son of King Saul, Jonathan had every reason to see David as a rival and to kill him, to preserve his kingship after Saul, but he didn't. What did he do? He gave David his robe and his sword, right? He made a covenant with him. And he gave him his robe, his honor, or his armor, his weapons. He basically surrendered his claim to the throne.
Mhm.
His love was loyal, it was selfless, and it was in mutual trust. He risked his life to protect David, and then he asked David to show kindness to his descendants, which David, later did when he honored Mephibosheth, right? Say that 10 times. And in comparison, Yeshua, he expresses his covenantal love on a cosmic scale.
Hmm.
His bond is not just with an individual, but with all humanity. So where Jonathan gave up a throne he might have had, Yeshua gave up his divine privilege to establish a new covenant through his death and resurrection. His love is also sacrificial, but it's redemptive. He says, greater love has no one than this, is to lay down one's life for one's friends. I think Yeshua was quoting Jonathan and David. He was recounting that account.
Wow.
And so Yeshua's love for us echoes Jonathan's spirit. And while Yeshua's covenant is eternal and transformative, offering reconciliation with God, so Jonathan's love was a model of human friendship and loyalty. So I just been reading these stories, and it makes me weep when I read about Jonathan. I mean, he gave up everything, and then he dies in battle on the battlefield with his father.
Yeah.
Good one, Jeffrey. I hadn't thought about that in years. That's good. I just hadn't considered it. I like it.
The relationship that he had with his father, he had to see something was going on, something wrong.
Especially when he threw the javelin at him, right?
Yeah. It's like,
said, "Dad, you ain't all right in the head."
Yeah, and being in, my dad was he was losing his mind as the years went on, and the hurt that I felt because of that, to see him being in that condition, it's kind of like what Saul was going through, and for Jonathan to see his dad going through this, that had to hurt, and to make the decision that he did, yeah, you're right. He's somebody to be a hero.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, very good. Very, very good. A favorite Bible event and why? My favorite Bible event is the Tower of Babel.
Hmm.
Well, I already talked about another favorite event. I got several favorite events.
Okay.
This week it's the Tower of Babel.
Well, tell us why.
No, I'm not going to tell you what. No, I think it's fascinating that these people literally thought they could. I mean, these are. Would we do it today? No, because we're smarter than that. But it's like this took a lot of people that wanted to build this building so that it would reach the heavens, okay, and go up into heaven. And it's like, well, I have to give them a little bit of leeway because they didn't actually have the Bible yet, so they couldn't go back and study and check it out and find out why they shouldn't do that. But still, what in the world were they thinking?
Yeah, I did a little research on that before. I think I covered it in one of my daily Torah podcasts.
Okay.
They built that. One of the reasons they built the tower, and when they wanted it to reach heaven, was they were afraid that God was going to flood the earth again, like in Noah's time, and they wanted to survive it. They wanted to build it so high that they would survive a second flood.
But didn't God say
that He wasn't going to do that again?
That He wasn't going to do that again?
They probably didn't hear that sermon.
Ah, that's right. Well, they didn't have the Bible yet.
Yeah.
They didn't have the Bible, so they couldn't go back and check that out before they.
Now, Mark, you're talking about how we wouldn't do that today.
Yeah, we would.
What about those guys that are trying to? I think it's in Switzerland or something that they're trying to. Some kind of machine.
You're talking about the CERN?
Yeah.
The reactor, whatever they call it.
Yeah. They're trying to. They're actually trying to open up a wormhole, I think it is.
Yeah.
To go into another dimension. You didn't know about that?
Yeah, Well, there's three
like
things.
Fringe stuff.
Mankind's trying to do three things. One is he's involved with transhumanism, where they're trying to upload their consciousness into machines. Two, they got these underground bunkers where they got what they call the arcs, where if the nuclear war breaks out, they have enough food and the best of the people. It's just like the movies they show to preserve humanity. And then the third option they're really working on is to try to blast out of Earth and go have moon colonies or go to Mars and escape Earth altogether. So in essence, they are in this Babylonian Tower of Babel mindset to preserve themselves because they know judgment is coming.
Yeah.
So
even though they deny it.
During their breaks and lunch hour, do they watch Terminator movies? I mean, to me, that's all you got to do. I know what's going to happen. I've seen all the Terminator movies.
Yeah.
So and we every day, it's like it's step by step by step. We're moving into exactly what the Terminator movie.
I'm convinced Hasatan has to give us what his plans are, and he does it through these movies. He's the prince of the power of the air, and he controls Hollywood. I mean, who comes up with these ideas? Where do they come from?
Yeah,
they're all demonic, but they're giving us a vision of what his plan is for us.
Wow, I did not know about this thing. So I'm with you, brother. That's a good answer. Yes. Would we do it today? It looks in our own up-to-date version of the Tower of Babel.
Yes.
This thing you guys were talking about is kind of like an up-to-date version of the Bible, of that Tower of Babel.
I think they actually called the God something.
The God Ark or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know what I forget what they did call it, but yeah. God
Yeah,
seed.
now I know what. Now I can. I don't know. Anyway, wow, good one. So anybody else got a favorite Bible event there, Larry?
Well, mine goes back to Eliyahu when he was
Uh,
dueling Baal priests at Mount Carmel. I
Hmm.
mean, that to me. And then to top it off, taking those 850 priests down to a place,
Hmm.
back streets, and eliminating them, let's say.
uh,
That to me is like, that's the end of Revelation there.
Hmm.
You know, it's
yeah.
like the Lord finally shows himself to be all that he said he was, all that the prophets say he was. And then the result is, devastation for those who opposed him,
Hmm.
who had a different way.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. With
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that was a great event.
Yep.
Um,
Jeffrey, great event.
I thought about this for a while, Mark, and then I thought, you know what? We have to go back to the beginning. So my favorite Bible event, I would say, would be the creation of the world in Genesis
All right.
1. It's
Well,
the opening, it's the opening act of the Bible, and it's nothing short of cosmic, right? Light
so
from
Yeah.
darkness, light from darkness, land from sea, life from dust. It sets the stage for everything else that follows. Could you
Jeffrey,
imagine being there when God did all this? Man,
Mm.
Jeffrey, do you live your life as go big or go home?
go big, go big or go. Well, I never really thought about that, but
Well, anybody that picks that is their
Yeah.
I like to go
event.
big.
That's a go
Let's
big
go
or go
big.
home event.
Hey, I'm from Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, there you go. You got it.
Yeah.
Wow, the creation of the earth. Yeah, well, but see, that's a drop mic moment.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
nothing that we can't even
You
try
win.
to compare to that.
Yeah, you win.
You win, Jeffrey.
I have this picture in my mind with the angels and the Lord saying, "Okay, guys, watch this."
Yeah, right.
You know, that redneck saying, "Watch this." Boom.
Get her done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see God out there doing his thing, and Gabriel is standing over at the side. Go on, God, get her done.
Yeah.
Oh boy, what we can think of. Speaking of that, let's jump. We kind of did the first. Oh, it took us an hour and 10 minutes to do the first part of the show.
Still on the first part?
The first part, yeah, the first third. So I guess if it takes an hour and 10 minutes to do the first third, we have 2 hours and 20 minutes left in the show for the other 2/3. So well, let's just jump over to the Torah portion. Korach. What a wonderful portion. So many different things. Now, just a little shameless plug here. I wrote a book called Experiencing the Big X. And in that book, it chronicles from the first plague to the stopping at the Red Sea. And it chronicles the people that went through it. Some of them are literally people out of the Bible, and some of them are made up characters that I came up with. But one of the people from the Bible that I put into the storyline was Korah. And I did a massive search and research on whatever is out there, and even through the Talmud and several different Jewish sources and everything to try to get a background. And the best I could come up with was that Korah was the head over the agriculture of then, they went into the fields and they brought in grain to feed the entire world and the whole thing, that Korah was in charge of all of that and put that all together, and the monies and everything that would bring in for Egypt. So when it came down to what we read in the Torah portion of Korah, it helps me to realize why Korah thought he had such power, such authority to do and say what he wanted to say, and why would he come against Moses like that? Of course, we have a lot of leaders that we've had around the world that thought the same thing. It's like, why does this country exist? They don't go along with the things that we do and that type of thing. And so it all applies to the same thing. It's been happening all through history, of course. Korah was no different than so many. My question is that why, let's just take it from me. Of course, I'm not there, or you, or whatever. You weren't there. You don't really know. Why follow Korah? Why, if you're right there in the middle and you've seen everything that's happened and Korah's rising up, why would you follow this man?
Yeah. Well,
still happening today.
Well, I believe some of the people that followed him were not of the Levites. They were of the tribe of Reuben. And Reuben's been a pain. Is he not the firstborn?
Reuben was, yeah.
Yeah. And
I believe he was.
Yeah,
yeah.
Those people have always been a pain in the butt to Moses, and always wanting to claim their standard as the firstborn son. And to me, that's carried down through the generations. Why is Judah better than us? Why was Levi better than us? We're the firstborn. And I believe they saw a situation in which Korah was a good leader. I mean, from
very
what you
learned,
in
every area,
and he had obviously the Egyptians trusted him, and he had the authority. So when Korah said, "Why do you consider yourself to be so set apart?" The Lord has said, "We're all set apart." He was just, to me, he was he knew that he was wanting to be the one that's set apart, but he's using the Lord's words that everybody is set apart. What makes you so good? And then when the Reubenites heard that, they're saying, yeah. And what would the Lord, but then again, they've seen the plagues that have gone through. Why would they take that chance? You're right. But to me, it goes back to Reuben's mentality.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good.
Well, like any rebellion, right? Like all rebellions, has a leader and followers, right? So, of course, Korah was the leader, but, and we know he descended, his father was Kohath. And both Moses and Korah, they were descendants of Kohath, but they were from different sons of Kohath. Moses was from the family of Amram. and Korah was from the family of Ishar. And so right there begins some type of family rivalry, kind of like Joseph and his brothers. And then among these three tribes of Levi, the Kohathites, they had the most prestigious of duties. Their responsibility was to carry and care for the most holy things of the tabernacle after Aaron and his sons had covered them with the specially prepared coverings. Now, the three Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram and On from the tribe of Reuben, in the arrangements of the tribes around the tabernacle, they were right next to the Levitical family of Kohath. And so it's not a surprise that the complaint and dissatisfaction of Korah spread to these Reubenites.
Mm-hmm.
So in the account, Korah accuses Moses, you bring too much upon yourself, right? Korah has this love of power. He accuses Moses of having this love of power and refusing to let others lead. He wants, like you said, Larry, he says all the congregation is holy, just like you, Moses. This is a Luciferian spirit that's upon Korah. Korah wasn't satisfied with the position God gave him, and he wanted more. And so just as Lucifer was able to draw away a third of the angels, right, in his rebellion, Korah's accusation was made publicly in front of 250 leaders of the congregation, men of renown, right? These were all leaders. Korah played to this audience, hoping to draw a following after himself. It was a clever attack, just like Lucifer attacks us and many leaders and was able to gather all the angels around him. He wanted to represent himself that he cared for the people, but really he just wanted Moses' power. Mm-hmm. He wanted Moses' position. He wanted to be the one in charge. And he says at the end, he accuses Moses of pride and self-seeking, but that's not really who Moses was. God put Moses in the position. And then what did Moses do afterwards? He made all those followers priests, right? And he gathered them all together, and then the Lord broke out against them. So, like Lucifer, Korah and the followers were not satisfied with the position that God gave them.
Wow, I love it. That is so dead on. I'm trying to think here. Well, I mean, it makes me think of Jethro. Jethro came to Moshe and said, "You take too much on yourself." Mm-hmm. But look at the way Jethro handled it. Mm-hmm. He explained to him how to do the right thing and let's make this work. Korah could have just as easily came to Moshe and Aaron and said, "Listen, I'm willing to work with you. Mm-hmm. I have all these people and everything. I mean, they hold you in respect, and I hold you in respect, but I can bring so much more to the table. Please consider me to help you do this." So
that's a great point, Mark.
And it just shows exactly the same thing that's happening today all over the world. Look at the leaders that are rising up and people wanting to take over and everything. I mean, even Trump. You look at Trump and the way he handles things in comparison to the way other big leaders do. Mm-hmm. But he is humble about it. No, you can't use the word humble in Trump. But he is personable about it, and he's willing to work. Matter of fact, everything he's doing right now with these other countries is going in and let's work it.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen.
He listened to other
And
people.
Torah had the same ability to do all that. It just makes it just shows what his true heart is. And that's why it bothers me so much that somebody else didn't rise up and say, I can't follow you. I have respect for you. You're a man of power. You're a man of authority. The Egyptians worked with Korah on what they were doing and the whole thing, but yet I can't follow you. I can't do this because it's just not the right way to do it. So there were so many people that could have rose up, and made the difference, but they didn't. All right, we got 1 minute. So, anybody got a final word or anything?
Well, if I was in that situation, I would have said to Deborah, okay, let's just sit back and watch what the Lord's going to do with this. I'm not going to take any stand on this baby.
Yeah. Grab the shovel in case the ground opens up a little too close. We can push it aside. And keep it from our tent.
Well, when God told them to get away from the tents of Korah, God's saying, hey, you better get away because I'm about ready to send fire down, baby.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go.
All right, guys.
Man, thank you so much for joining me on this. It's a temporary show, but we're having fun. I hope you guys had fun, and
thank you for having me on.
We'll see what happens next week. See how far we go. So, thanks again, and God bless. And
God bless.
Shavua Tov.
Yes.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again, or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all the other live Lamb show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network.
Should be white as snow, white as snow, white wool.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, and yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lambnetwork.tv website. I'm Tammy Johnson, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.
White as snow, white as snow.